I'm Sarah Chin, 31 years old. 17 days ago, I woke up in the cardiac ICU with a fresh scar down my chest and the knowledge that my parents had chosen wine over their granddaughter. The warning signs had been there for weeks. Shortness of breath. Chest pain that radiated down my left arm. Dizziness that made me grab onto counters and walls. But when you're a single mother to a 3-year-old daughter with autism, you don't have time to be sick. You push through. You ignore the symptoms. You tell yourself it's just stress. Until you collapse in the middle of Target while your daughter is having a meltdown in the cereal aisle. I remember the fluorescent lights spinning above me. The concerned faces of strangers. My daughter Lily's screams, high-pitched and terrified because her routine had been disrupted and mommy wasn't responding. Someone called 911. Someone else held Lily trying to calm her, not understanding that touch from strangers made it worse. The paramedics arrived fast. They did an EKG right there on the floor between the Cheerios and the Lucky Charms. "Ma'am, you're having a cardiac event," the lead paramedic said. "We need to get you to the hospital immediately." "My daughter," I gasped. "She has autism. She needs her weighted blanket. Her noise-canceling headphones. She can't handle. We'll bring her with us. Is there someone we can call?" I gave them my parents' number. My emergency contact. The people who were supposed to be there when everything fell apart. Mom answered on the 5th ring. I could hear clinking glasses and laughter in the background. "Sarah? Is everything okay? We're at a wine tasting event in Napa." "Mom." My voice was weak, strained. I collapsed. "I'm having a heart attack. They're taking me to St. Mary's. I need you to come get Lily. She's terrified and..." "A heart attack? Sarah, you're 31 years old. Young people don't have heart attacks. Are you sure you're not just having a panic attack?" The paramedic took the phone from me. "Ma'am, this is Michael Chin with the paramedic unit. Your daughter is experiencing acute cardiac distress. Her troponin levels indicate significant heart muscle damage. She needs immediate surgical intervention. She has a 3-year-old daughter here who needs family support." I heard my mother's sigh. That deep, disappointed sigh I'd heard my entire life. "We're 3 hours away. We just started the wine tour. We paid $400 per person for this. Mom, please." I was crying now. Lily needs someone she knows. She needs her routine. She needs. My father's voice came on the line. "Sarah, you should have planned better. You know Lily has special needs. You should have backup care arranged for emergencies like this." "This isn't a planned emergency, Dad. I'm having a heart attack." "Well, we can't just drop everything. Your mother and I deserve to enjoy our retirement. We're with the Hendersons and the Pratts. It would be incredibly rude to leave." The paramedic's jaw tightened. He'd heard every word. "Sir, your daughter needs emergency surgery. Your granddaughter has a mother who needs to be more responsible," Dad interrupted. "Tell Sarah to call that autism therapy center. They must have emergency services." The line went dead. I stared at the phone, my failing, damaged heart, breaking in an entirely different way. The paramedic handed me back my phone. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "Do you have anyone else?" I scrolled through my contacts with shaking hands. My ex-husband was in Portland with his new family. My best friend was on deployment in Germany. The autism therapy center was closed on weekends. Then I remembered the card Dr. Patterson had given me 6 months ago. Specialized autism care services. 24/7 emergency support. I'd saved it in my phone, never thinking I'd need it. With the paramedics' help, I called. A woman named Jennifer answered immediately. "Sachs, this is Jennifer. How can I help?" "I need emergency care for my 3-year-old daughter with autism. I'm being transported for emergency cardiac surgery. She's nonverbal, has sensory processing issues, and she's already dysregulated from watching me collapse. I need someone who understands." "Stop right there," Jennifer said gently. "We've got you. Where are you now?" I gave her the details through tears. Lily's triggers. Her comfort items. Her communication device. Her dietary restrictions. Her bedtime routine. "We have a specialist named Amanda who's worked with nonverbal autistic children for 12 years. She can be at St. Mary's in 30 minutes. She'll bring sensory tools, familiar routines, everything your daughter needs." "How much will this cost?" "Our emergency rate is $85 per hour with an 8-hour minimum. But right now you focus on your surgery. We'll take care of your little girl like she's our own." I almost broke down completely. A stranger was offering what my own parents wouldn't. "Thank you," I whispered. "Thank you so much. Mama, you're going to be okay. And so is Lily." If you're genuinely enjoying this story, could you hit that like button? It helps me keep creating content like this. The emergency room was a blur of doctors, tests, and urgent conversations. My heart was failing. The left anterior descending artery, the one they call the widowmaker, was 95% blocked. I needed immediate surgery or I'd be dead within hours. Lily was in a pediatric waiting room with Amanda, the SAC specialist. Through my pre-op haze, I could see them on a monitor the nurses had set up. Amanda wasn't trying to force Lily to make eye contact or speak. She was sitting parallel to her, showing her a visual schedule on an iPad, letting Lily control the interaction. My daughter's screaming had stopped. She was still stressed, rocking back and forth, flapping her hands, but she wasn't in crisis anymore. A stranger had de-escalated my daughter in 30 minutes. My parents couldn't be bothered to drive 3 hours. Dr. Harrison, my cardiologist, came in to explain the surgery. He was in his 50s with kind eyes and steady hands. "Miss Chin, we're looking at an emergency coronary artery bypass. We'll take a vessel from your leg and use it to bypass the blockage. The surgery takes about 4 hours. Recovery will be 6 to 8 weeks. Will I survive it?" He paused. "Your age is in your favor. But I won't lie, this is serious. The blockage is severe. If we don't operate now, you have hours at most. And if the surgery goes wrong, then we do everything we can to bring you back." I thought about Lily. About who would take care of her if I died. My parents, who couldn't interrupt a wine tasting. My ex, who'd left because he couldn't handle the autism diagnosis. "I need to make arrangements," I said. "Legal arrangements. For my daughter." Dr. Harrison nodded. "We have a social worker who can help. But Sarah, we need to move fast." The social worker helped me draft an emergency guardianship document. If I didn't survive surgery, custody would go to my college roommate Michelle in Seattle. Not my parents. Never my parents. As they wheeled me toward the operating room, I did something I'd been doing for 7 years, every single month without question. I opened my banking app. I navigated to automatic transfers. There it was, $2,800. Sent on the 1st of every month to my parents' account. It started when I was 24, fresh out of grad school with my first real job. Dad had been laid off. Mom's part-time work wasn't enough. They were going to lose their house. "Just for a few months," Dad had said. "Just until I find something new." 7 years later, Dad had found something new, retirement. Mom had found something new, book clubs and wine tastings and shopping trips. And I'd kept sending money because they'd never asked me to stop. Because I'd believed that's what good daughters did. $2,800 a month. 12 months a year. 7 years. $235,200. $250,000 I'd sent to people who chose wine over their granddaughter. I canceled the automatic transfer. Then I set up a new one. Same amount, $2,800 per month, to a special needs trust for Lily. For her therapy. Her education. Her future. The anesthesiologist was putting the mask over my face. "Count backward from 10, she said gently. 10 to 9, 8. I thought about Lily's smile when she finally made eye contact last month. About the way she'd signed "I love you" in her own modified way just yesterday. 7, 6. I thought about my parents choosing Napa over us. 5, 4. I thought about Amanda, the stranger who showed up. 3. Family is who shows up. 2. Everything went dark. I woke up to the steady beep of monitors and the dull ache of a chest that had been cracked open and sewn back together. My throat was raw from the breathing tube. Every breath felt like broken glass. But I was alive. A nurse was checking my vitals. "Welcome back, Sarah. The surgery went perfectly. Dr. Harrison will be in soon to talk to you." "My daughter," I croaked. "Lily. She's fine. She's in the family area with her care specialist. They've set up a little sensory corner for her. She's doing great." Tears leaked from my eyes. Relief. Gratitude. Love. Dr. Harrison came in an hour later. "You did beautifully. The bypass is solid. You'll need cardiac rehabilitation and lifestyle changes, but Sarah, You're going to be fine. How bad was it really? He sat down and his expression turned serious. You were minutes away from complete cardiac arrest. If you'd waited another hour, even another 30 minutes, you wouldn't have made it to the OR. He paused. Do you know what caused this? Bad genetics. Stress. Partially. But Sarah, your medical history shows you've been under extreme chronic stress for years. Single parenting a special needs child with no support system. Financial strain. The constant fight or flight response literally damaged your heart. I processed that. My heart had broken from carrying everything alone. There's something else, Dr. Harrison said. I called your emergency contact. Your parents. To inform them the surgery was successful and you were stable. My chest tightened and it had nothing to do with the bypass. Your father answered. I told him you'd survived a critical surgery and would need significant recovery support. He said, and I quote, "That's good to hear. Let us know when she's back on her feet." Dr. Harrison's voice was carefully neutral. Then he asked if you'd still be able to take care of Lily or if they'd need to deal with that situation. Deal with that situation, I repeated. He called my daughter a situation. I informed him that that situation was his granddaughter who'd been terrified and alone while her mother underwent life-saving surgery. He said, well, Sarah chose to keep the baby despite the autism. She needs to handle the consequences. The heart monitor started beeping faster. Breathe, Sarah, the nurse said, adjusting something on my forearm. Don't spike your blood pressure. Dr. Harrison leaned forward. I've been a cardiologist for 26 years. I've seen a lot of family dynamics. But I want you to understand something. The people who should have been here weren't. And the people who were here were strangers who cared more about your daughter in 4 hours than your parents did in 3 years. 3 years. Amanda told me Lily was diagnosed at 18 months. She said you've been managing her therapy, her care, her entire support system alone. That your parents have visited exactly twice since the diagnosis and both times complained about Lily's behavior. I closed my eyes. It was true. All of it. I told your father something, Dr. Harrison continued. I told him that his daughter nearly died because her heart couldn't handle the stress of doing everything alone. That she'd been killing herself trying to be enough for everyone. Enough for Lily, enough for her job, enough to send them money every month. My eyes snapped open. You knew about the money? The social worker found the bank records when you were setting up the guardianship paperwork. She showed me because it was relevant to your stress levels. He shook his head. You've been sending them nearly $3,000 a month while working full-time and caring for a special needs child alone. That's not just generous, Sarah. That's self-destructive. They needed help. They needed to help themselves. And more importantly, they needed to help you. He stood up. I told your father all of this. I told him that you'd canceled the payments from your hospital bed and that you'd be redirecting that money to Lily's care. Do you know what he said? I waited. He said, she can't do that. That's our money. The heart monitor beeped faster again. Not, is she okay? Not, what can we do to help? Not, we're coming right away. Dr. Harrison's voice was cold. Your father's first concern was losing money he never earned. What did you say? I told him it was never his money. That his daughter had been subsidizing his lifestyle out of love and duty while she literally worked herself into heart failure. Then I told him that as your physician, I was recommending zero contact with stressors during your recovery. And that based on this conversation he qualified as a significant stressor. You didn't. I absolutely did. Then I hung up on him. I started laughing. It hurt my chest, but I couldn't stop. Your job now is to heal, Dr. Harrison said. Physical healing and emotional healing. You've got a long road ahead. But Sarah, you don't have to walk it alone anymore. Amanda has already connected you with support groups for single parents of autistic children. The hospital social worker has resources for financial assistance and respite care. You have people who want to help. Strangers, I said. People who don't even know me. People who see you, he corrected. That's more valuable than DNA. Over the next 3 days in the ICU, I had dozens of visitors. Amanda brought Lily for carefully timed, structured visits. Michelle called from Seattle, already researching how to move her family closer to help. My coworkers set up a meal train. Lily's therapy team sent cards and offered to adjust schedules around my recovery. My parents sent a text, "Glad you're okay. We need to talk about the money situation when you're feeling better." I blocked their number. On day 4, something unexpected happened. My hospital room door opened and an elderly man walked in. Late 70s, wearing a cardigan and wire-rimmed glasses. "Sarah Chin?" he asked. "Yes. I'm Robert Chin. Your grandfather." I stared. My father's father. The man I'd met exactly 3 times in my entire life because Dad had cut contact with him 20 years ago over some family argument I'd never fully understood. "How did you?" I started. "Dr. Harrison called me. He tracked me down through hospital records and told me what happened. What your parents did. What they didn't do." He pulled a chair close to my bed. "I need to tell you something about your father." I waited. 20 years ago your father asked me for money. A lot of money. He'd made some bad investments and was about to lose everything. I gave him $100,000 from my retirement savings to bail him out. Told him it wasn't a loan, it was a gift. No strings attached. I didn't know that. He never thanked me. Never acknowledged it. 6 months later he asked for more. When I said no, that I'd given what I could afford, he accused me of favoritism. Of loving his sister more. Of being a terrible father. Robert's voice was steady but sad. He cut contact completely. Refused to let me meet you. Told everyone I was a toxic person who'd abandoned the family. But you didn't. No. I sent birthday cards every year. They all came back unopened. I set up a college fund for you anyway. Your father found out and threatened legal action if I tried to contact you. So I waited. I figured one day you'd be an adult and could make your own choices. Why didn't you reach out when I turned 18? I did. I sent a letter to your college address. Your father intercepted it. Told you I died. My heart monitor started beeping erratically. He what? I'm sorry. I didn't know he'd lied until Dr. Harrison called me. He mentioned you seemed surprised I was alive. I felt like I'd been gutted all over again. My father told me you died when I was 19. We even had a memorial service. I cried for weeks. Robert's eyes filled with tears. I'm so sorry, Sarah. I never stopped trying to reach you. But your father made sure I couldn't. Why? Why would he do that? Because I knew the truth about him. Because I'd seen his patterns. Because I would have told you what he really was. A man who takes and never gives back. He reached into his cardigan pocket and pulled out an envelope. This is for you. The college fund I set up. I couldn't give it to you then, but I can now. Inside was a bank statement. An education fund in my name. Untouched for 13 years. $127,000. I invested the initial $50,000 and it grew, Robert said. It's yours. For Lily's therapy. For your recovery. For whatever you need. I couldn't speak. There's something else, he continued. Dr. Harrison told me about the money you've been sending your parents. About the $235,000 over 7 years. He shook his head. That was my money, Sarah. The $100,000 I gave your father 20 years ago. He never used it to save his house. He invested it poorly, lost half, and has been slowly draining the rest ever since. Your monthly payments weren't helping them survive. They were funding their lifestyle while the original bailout money disappeared. He lied about everything. Yes. And I'm so sorry you inherited his consequences. But Sarah, you're free now. You know the truth. You've cut the financial cord. You can heal. He stood up carefully. I'd like to be in your life. And Lily's. If you'll have me. I know I'm a stranger, but you're the first person in my family who chose me, I said. That makes you more than family. That makes you a miracle. He smiled. I brought something for Lily. May I? He pulled out a small weighted lap pad in a soft purple fabric. Lily's favorite color. Amanda told me about her sensory needs. I made this myself. I used to do woodworking and sewing before my arthritis got bad. You made this for her? I've been making things for her for 3 years. Ever since I found out about her diagnosis through alternative channels. He looked sheepish. I may have hired a private investigator to keep tabs on you after your father cut me off. I wanted to make sure you were okay. When I learned about Lily's autism, I started researching. Bernie. Preparing for the day I might be allowed to be her grandfather. I was crying now. Full, heaving sobs that made my chest scream in pain. But I didn't care. Hey, Robert said gently. Don't hurt yourself. Save those tears for when you're healed. These are happy tears, I managed. I thought I was alone. I thought Lily and I had nobody. You were never alone. You just couldn't see me through your father's lies. Amanda brought Lily in for evening visiting hours. My daughter took one look at the purple weighted lap pad and immediately sat down with it, her little body relaxing. Robert sat parallel to her, exactly as Amanda had taught him through their phone consultations. He didn't try to touch her or force interaction. He just existed in her space, calm and quiet. After 5 minutes, Lily scooted closer to him. After 10, she leaned against his leg. "Hello, Lily," Robert said softly. "I'm your great-grandpa. I've been waiting to meet you for a very long time." Lily didn't respond verbally. He never did. But she took his hand and placed it on the weighted pad, showing him the texture. "It's very soft," Robert said. "I'm glad you like it." I watched this man, this stranger who was more family than my own parents, connect with my daughter in ways my parents never tried. On day 6, I was moved to a regular room. Dr. Harrison cleared me for discharge in 2 more days with strict instructions. No stress, no heavy lifting, cardiac rehab 3 times a week, and 0 contact with people who elevated my blood pressure. That evening, my hospital room phone rang. The nurse checked the caller ID. "It's from a Napa Valley area code," she said. "Do you want me to answer it?" "No. Block the number." She nodded approvingly. Good instinct. But my cell phone, the one Amanda had been charging for me, showed 37 missed calls from my parents' numbers. And a voicemail. Against my better judgment, I listened. My father's voice. "Sarah, this is ridiculous. You can't cut us off like this. We're family. We deserve an explanation at minimum. Your mother is very upset. You're causing her significant stress. Call us back immediately so we can resolve this like adults." Not, "Are you okay?" Not, "We're sorry." Not, "We should have been there." Just demands and blame. I deleted the voicemail. Then I did something I should have done years ago. I changed my emergency contact from my parents to Robert. I updated my will to make him Lily's guardian if something happened to me. I added him to my medical decision-making documents. I erased my parents from every legal tie that bound us. The day I was discharged, Robert drove me home in his ancient but immaculate Buick. Lily was in her car seat, playing with a sensory fidget toy he'd made, a wooden square with different textures on each side. "I've arranged something," Robert said as we pulled into my apartment complex. "I hope you don't mind the presumption." "What kind of something?" "I called in some favors. I used to be a general contractor before I retired. I have friends who owe me." He pulled into my parking spot. There were 3 trucks there. Men were unloading ramps? Grab bars? "What is this?" "You're going to need accommodation during recovery," Robert said. "You can't do stairs easily. You can't lift Lily. You need to avoid strain." He smiled. "So I had my crew make your apartment accessible. Ramps installed. Grab bars in the bathroom. A roll-in shower conversion. Everything you need." "Robert, I can't afford." "You're not paying." "I am. And before you argue, remember that I've missed 31 years of being your grandfather. Let me make up for lost time." I watched these men, strangers, friends of my grandfather, transform my space into something I could navigate during recovery. They worked for 4 hours. They refused payment. One of them, a man named Jerry, had an autistic grandson. "We take care of our own," Jerry said simply. "Robert's family is our family." That night, after Lily was asleep in her bed, I sat with Robert in my newly accessible living room. "Why?" I asked. "Why go through all this for someone you barely know?" "Because I know your father," Robert said. "I know what he's capable of. The selfishness. The manipulation. The way he uses people and discards them." He looked at me steadily. "You deserved better than him. You deserved a family that showed up. And since I couldn't be that family for 31 years, I'm going to be it now. I don't know how to accept help. I know. Your father made sure you'd be self-sufficient to the point of self-destruction. But Sarah, accepting help isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's survival." 3 weeks into recovery, I got a registered letter. Legal letterhead. My parents were suing me for financial abandonment and elder abuse. I called Robert, panicked. "They're claiming I abandoned them financially." That I promised to support them and then reneged. That they made life decisions based on my financial commitment. Robert was quiet for a moment. Then, do you have documentation of the transfers? Yes. All of it. And did you ever sign anything promising long-term support? No. It was just something I did. Then they have no case. Let me make some calls. He connected me with his attorney, a sharp woman named Patricia who'd been practicing family law for 30 years. This is harassment, Patricia said after reviewing the documents. They're trying to intimidate you into resuming payments. We'll respond with a cease and desist. If they continue, we'll countersue for emotional distress. Can they really do that? Sue their own daughter. They can try. But Sarah, they'll lose. And more importantly, the judge will see exactly what kind of people they are. The case never made it to court. Patricia's cease and desist letter was so comprehensive, so devastating in its documentation of my parents' behavior, that their attorney withdrew. But the letter did something else. It outlined every failed moment. Every time they'd chosen convenience over their daughter. Every dollar I'd sent while struggling as a single mother. Every therapy session for Lily they'd skipped. Every milestone they'd missed. Patricia had included Dr. Harrison's statement. The cardiologist's professional opinion that chronic stress from lack of family support had contributed to my heart failure at age 31. My parents' attorney sent one final message. His clients were reconsidering the relationship and would be taking space from me. As if they'd been the ones showing up. 6 months after my surgery, I ran into my mother at the grocery store. The same store where I'd collapsed, though I'd avoided it until my therapist said I needed to reclaim the space. She was in the wine aisle. Of course. Sarah. She looked startled. Then her eyes went to Lily, who was in the cart wearing her noise-canceling headphones and holding her communication device. And Lily. Mom. We stood there in awkward silence. Lily was focused on her device, oblivious to the tension. You look well, Mom finally said. I heard the surgery was successful. It was. That's good. That's good. She shifted her weight. Sarah, about everything that happened. Your father and I have been thinking. Don't. Don't what? Don't try to rebuild this. Don't pretend you suddenly care. Don't rewrite history to make yourself the victim. Her face hardened. We're your parents. We deserve respect. You were my parents. Past tense. And respect is earned, not demanded. We raised you. We fed you. We clothed you. You did the bare minimum required by law and then spent 31 years reminding me I should be grateful for it. I was calm. Surprisingly calm. I nearly died, Mom. My heart literally gave out from stress. And your first concern was wine tasting tickets and money. That's not fair. You're making us sound like monsters. I'm stating facts. When I needed you most, you chose Napa. When Lily needed her grandparents, you called her a situation. When I set boundaries, you sued me. Your father thought. I don't care what Dad thought. I don't care what you think. I care what you did. And what you did was choose yourselves. Every single time. Lily started to get restless. I needed to keep moving, keep her regulated. I have to go, I said. Lily needs to maintain her routine. Sarah, wait. Mom's voice cracked. Can't we just start over? Forget the past. The past is where you showed me who you are. I believe you now. I pushed the cart past her. She called my name once more, but I didn't turn around. Lily signed home on her device. Yes, baby, I said. We're going home. 1 year after the surgery, I was cleared by Dr. Harrison. Full cardiac recovery. My ejection fraction was normal. The bypass was functioning perfectly. I was healthier than I'd been in 5 years. You did the work, Dr. Harrison said at my final appointment. The rehab, the stress management, the boundaries. You saved your own life, Sarah. You saved my life. I fixed your heart. You fixed your life. There's a difference. Robert was in the waiting room with Lily when I came out. She was showing him something on her iPad. A new communication sequence she'd learned. Look at this, Robert said proudly. She told me she's proud of you. All by herself. Used 7 different icons. I looked at the screen. Lily had indeed created a sequence. Mama plus strong plus heart plus better plus happy plus me plus proud. I scooped her into my arms, feeling the strength in my body that hadn't been there a year ago. The stamina. the health. I'm proud of you too, baby girl, I whispered into her hair. That evening Robert came over for dinner. It had become our Sunday tradition. He'd learned to make foods that fit Lily's sensory needs. She'd learned that Grandpa Robert was safe. I need to tell you something, Robert said after Lily was in bed. I'm updating my will. Robert, you don't have to. Shush. Listen. He smiled. Everything goes to you and Lily. The house in Pasadena. The investments. The savings. All of it. What about Dad? Your other grandchildren? Your father made his choices. He chose money and pride over family. His children don't know I exist, he's made sure of that. But you and Lily, you're my family now. The family I choose. That's a lot of money. It's about $800,000 total. The house alone is worth $600,000. I want it to go to people who will value it. Who will use it to build something good. He paused. I want Lily to have every opportunity. Every therapy. Every chance to be her fullest self. She already has that. Because you give it to her. But imagine what you could do without financial stress. Without working 60-hour weeks. Without choosing between therapy appointments and rent. I started crying. I cried a lot these days, but they were different tears. Healing tears. Grateful tears. I don't know how to thank you, I said. You already have. You let me in. You let me love Lily. You gave me a second chance to be a grandfather. His eyes were wet too. That's worth more than any money I could ever give you. 2 years after the surgery, I got an unexpected email. From Vanessa, my younger sister. The golden child. The one who'd always had Mom and Dad's approval. I know you probably don't want to hear from me. I wouldn't blame you if you deleted this. But I need to tell you something. Mom and Dad asked me to start helping with their bills last year. They said they were having trouble since you abandoned them. I've been sending them $1,500 a month for 14 months. That's $21,000. Last week I found out they went on another wine country vacation. They spent $6,000 in one weekend. When I confronted them, Dad said I owed them for raising me. Mom said I was being selfish for questioning how they spent their money. I finally understand what you tried to tell me. What you lived through. How they used you. I'm stopping the payments. I'm setting boundaries. And I'm sorry I didn't believe you sooner. I'm sorry I sided with them when they sued you. I'm sorry for all of it. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just wanted you to know, you were right about everything. Your sister Vanessa. I read the email 3 times. Part of me felt vindicated. Part of me just felt sad. I wrote back. Vanessa. Thank you for telling me. I hope you find the strength to maintain your boundaries. You deserve better than being an ATM. I'm not ready to rebuild our relationship yet. Maybe someday. But I appreciate your honesty. Take care of yourself. I didn't hear from her again. And that was okay. Lily is 5 now. She's speaking in 3-word phrases. She makes eye contact when she wants to. She has friends from her autism-friendly preschool. She calls Robert Papa. He's the only grandparent she knows. Last week we were at the park. Lily was on the swings, Robert was pushing her gently, and I was watching from a bench, grateful for a body that could breathe deeply and a heart that beat strong. Another mother sat down next to me. Your daughter is beautiful. Does she see her other grandparents often? She has one grandparent, I said, watching Robert and Lily. The one who matters. What about your parents? They chose wine over their granddaughter during a medical emergency. So I chose myself and my daughter over them. The woman looked shocked. They really did that? They really did. And it taught me the most valuable lesson of my life. DNA doesn't make someone family. Showing up does. Here's what I learned from the surgery that nearly killed me. Your body keeps score. It knows when you're carrying weight you shouldn't have to carry. It knows when you're giving pieces of yourself to people who don't value them. It knows when you're dying from lack of support. My heart literally broke from doing everything alone while supporting people who refused to support me back. But here's the other thing I learned. When you release the people who drain you, you make room for the people who fill you up. When you stop funding your own mistreatment, you can invest in your own future. When you accept that some people will never be who you need them to be, you can find the people who already are. I think about that $235,200 sometimes. The money I'll never get back. Money that could have changed Lily's life. Money that could have prevented some of my stress. But I also think about what I gained by cutting them off. Peace. Healing. Robert. A clear understanding of my worth. A family built on choice rather than obligation. That's worth more than any dollar amount. My parents send a card every year on Lily's birthday. I don't open them. They go straight into a box in the garage. Maybe one day Lily will ask about them. Maybe she won't. Either way, she'll know she had a papa who showed up every single Sunday. Who learned about autism for her. Who built her a sensory room in his house. Who loved her exactly as she is. My name is Sarah Chin. I'm 33 years old. I'm a mother, a daughter, and a granddaughter. I had a heart attack at 31 because I was carrying weight that wasn't mine to carry. Because I was funding people who refused to show up. Because I believed I had to earn love that should have been free. 2 years ago, my parents chose wine tasting over their special needs granddaughter. A cardiologist who barely knew me showed them who they really were. A grandfather I'd been told was dead gave me the family I deserved. Me. I'm thriving. My heart is strong. My daughter is flourishing. My grandfather is teaching her to build things with wood and love. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's building a beautiful life with people who actually deserve to be in it. It's healing the heart that broke from carrying people who refuse to carry you back. It's choosing yourself and watching everything change. If this story resonated with you, drop a comment below and let me know where you're listening from. And if you've walked away from toxic family members, you're not alone. We're all out here building better families one boundary at a time.